Yo, yo, yo! Welcome back, everybody. We have got some 25 zone going right now. We just started this up, no real action yet. I've got some music playing in the background. We will feel out what we think about this playlist and playing music in general in the background. We can get a little quiet between spots. I know there could be a long time between interesting hands, so we'll see if we like the music. I've also got this program called Girojin running that's giving me this randomizer. It's this program right here. It also does predetermined bet sizes and things like pot odds and letting you display stacks in big blinds, which I might turn on at some point in the future. I'm not really using the randomizer. There are some things that are, frequency type things like opening low pocket pairs in early position and things like that. But for the most part, I'm not really going to be using a randomizer to make any decisions. Mostly because I don't think I know all the spots well enough to start applying a randomizer. I think it's more important to know how to play spots than it is to apply a randomizer correctly. On the right, I think we can go either way. I'm gonna bet. I think we can go either way on the left too, but I'm also going to bet. This is a little face up. I'm gonna check a ton when I'm in the middle of two people, but I think this guy's just going to check back too much, and I'm not going to get the opportunity to check raise enough. I was just up in Boston for a couple weeks for the holidays, got to play a bunch of live poker, mostly at Encore in Boston, had one session at Mohegan Sun, and did pretty well. Unfortunately, no action with aces twice on the right here, but it's good to get back in the live streets. Played 2-5 the whole time. Had some interesting spots for sure. We're gonna go for the 3-bet on the left. Ran into Bart Hansen, who runs Crush Live Poker, which is an awesome channel and an awesome site. If you haven't watched his videos, I would highly recommend them. He's very good at explaining things. He's a crusher himself. He commentates a bunch of the streams, commentates Hustler, and seems like a super nice guy. I'm going to bet on the left. Backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw. Good board for me. I'd probably check if this was a 5, like if it was a three-wheel board. But with no straight out there, I think we can just bet. Figured this was coming. On the right, I mean. I think in position we can defend versus min raise. Our hand's not very strong, but I'm gonna fold ace deuce. I'm going to check back on the left. This is one of my weakest kings. Now it's one of my strongest kings. double flush draw. I'd like to size up a little bit. I think this guy has a pretty bad hand, though. I don't see him checking a king twice. But I think he might run into this ace quite a bit. I think our hand's worth an overbet. I think I have a lot of bluffs that want to overbet here. I don't block queen jack, which is a bit annoying. Nice. On the right, I don't love this, but I'm going to call. Let's see what our friend had here. Hit ace jack, yeah. Now I think we want to start putting money in. I would go a little bit bigger, but this is multi-way. I don't love going huge multi-way. But yeah, this guy just runs into this ace a lot, and he also has air a ton, so I'm gonna fold this gigantic open. So we're, totally indifferent on our sizing versus air. He's gonna fold it regardless. But when he runs into the ace, or he makes two pair, like if he's got ace, well, obviously we don't want him to have ace 10, but this one's close. It's opened up. Now that I think about it, I think 7-6 is really the only two pair that we beat. This is also the bottom, but I'm gonna open it. 7-6 is really the only two pair we beat, but a lot of the ace queen, ace jack type stuff will pay us off on the river. Maybe it's a little bit thin. It might be, because again, we don't, queen jack gets there, which he certainly can have. Yeah, a hand like ace 10 or ace king makes some sense. I block ace king, but hand could use some protection on the left. Maybe let's go for a small bet. I'd probably check back jack 7, but jack 6 just needs some protection. Can get him to float some pretty marginal, like backdoor type hands. I'm going to check 100% here. Half is fine here. I don't think like overbetting the turn makes a ton of sense. Could we overbet a king? Can I overbet ace king? I don't think so. Obviously our hand's strong enough to overbet, but that spot I don't think in our line we have a whole lot of overbets. Like ace king can overbet. I mean, I guess a 9 could, but the guy checked back the flop, so I don't really expect him to have a king a whole lot. Oof. Really good price in position here against an obvious fish. We'll call. Obviously folded this. I think folding pre is also fine, but we get to play in position with a hand that, you know, is suited. I'm also trying to plan out my next couple poker trips. As I've mentioned, in North Carolina where I live, there's really no options for live poker, so thankfully I have some friends that live in Baltimore, where there's a bunch of poker in both Baltimore and DC. Got a friend that lives in Dallas that plays at TCH down there, so between those two, we'll probably line something up sometime soon. On the right, I'm gonna shut it down. I'd like to have a club in my hand, obviously, but blind versus blind. Again, not trying not to just wait for the perfect bluff spot every time, especially in a spot like that where it's blind versus blind and the turn checks through. You know, you don't need to have the perfect hand and the perfect blockers and whatever. Like, if you think your opponent has a bad hand, just throw money in their face. Also going to try to keep these live play and explains a little bit shorter. I know the long videos are, you know, they're easy to have in the background while you do other stuff and whatever. But it's kind of a lot to watch, like a 45-minute live play and explain when I'm folding most of the time. You know, especially if I run kind of cold. So I do think I'm going to start streaming them though, and then stream them on YouTube and then just upload the stream, and then we can do the session review videos on the spots later. I also have a friend that played on the Best Bet Jacksonville live stream. They have a 2-5 deep stack live stream that he played on, and I might go over some of those spots with him and record it. I think that'd be pretty interesting. It was an interesting game. I mean, the some of the play was pretty loosey-goosey, so there's a lot of room for deviation and exploit and stuff in games like that. Here, I think call is fine. Interesting flop. Obviously, our hand's super strong, but it's far from the nuts. I think we just want to call. Now it is not far from the nuts. It is quite close to the nuts now. Interesting. I'm gonna try to induce here. Actually, I'm gonna like baby bet, try to get him to raise. Well, that didn't work. But I think the dude just has like pocket nines that are worth nothing by the river a bunch. So, I also don't want to check for that specific reason. Here, I'm just getting a 1,000,000 to 1. I'd obviously rather get this flop than flop a pair, so. We're somewhat deep with this guy. So I think I'm just going to check this multi-way. I think check raising here is interesting, though. Super strong line, multi-way. Looks like we're probably not going to get the opportunity, but... So this guy I don't ever expect to have a flush. My line is really strong, check raising into all these people. You have the second nut flush draw and an open ender. I really don't think this guy, when he checks back the flop multi-way in position, I don't think this dude ever has a flush. But currently, we have jack high, so taking it down, obviously nice. I'm not going to cold 4-bet against these positions with king 10. If one of the other players had bet the flop or bet the turn, so like if the pre-flop raiser had bet, I would be less inclined to raise because I think he is far more likely to have a flush, because him checking the flop doesn't cap him nearly as much as the button checking back the flop does. So this, if either of the players in these two seats bet the turn, I would be less likely to raise the turn. Overbet on an ace here when it goes check check on this type of board. I have no equity on the right, so I'm not going to start doing anything crazy. This is certainly a board that we could check raise from the big blind, but not with my hand. We have a bunch of draws here. We have like 6-4, bunch of hands with like 6, 7, 8 in it. That'll either have like a double gutter, an open ender, bottom pair, and a backdoor straight draw, things like that. Obviously, our hand has none of that. Not the board for pocket fives multi-way. I'd consider betting for some protection if this was heads up, but not multi-way. On the music front, I try not to listen to things with a lot of lyrics because I find myself like subconsciously focusing on the lyrics or singing along if I know the song or whatever, which is why I have this instrumental playlist on right now. Kind of bouncing around playlists, trying to make sure I don't get stuck on like elevator music though. Here, this is going to be a 3-bet sometimes. This is actually one of the times a randomizer would come in handy. It was on 46 though, so we're gonna not. This one is a squeeze for sure. Let's go 5x seems right. Nope. Wow. I would actually be tempted to call this off if it was shorter. Obviously, it's shorter than a full stack already, but not going to be calling. Kind of a weird, not even kind of, it's a weird jam in position of me. The button there never has a strong hand, so this is also bizarre. I don't know what this is. Leading on this board. The button never has a strong hand there, so he shouldn't be worried about like playing out of position against the button. He should only be worried about me. So, I mean, I get that he probably thinks that the button's going to double flat if he flats, which is understandable. But in position of me, I don't think it's necessary. This is a very clear fold. He can also just like click 4-bet. I mean, I would have called versus click 4-bet, but 3-bet the Jack 10. Not ideal. That's probably actually close to a call in position there, but I think it's fine to let it go, especially in this pool. People aren't 4-betting enough. Here, I would probably go for half pot out of position here, but in position, we'll just go for the quarter-ish size. Actually, I think even in position, this is a board we can probably size up on. It's a pretty good board for the big blind, so like a bunch of our hands are going to want to either check or big bet. It's not, what I'm saying is it's not like a range bet type board against the big blind, so when we do bet, we can size up a little bit, and then obviously a lot of our hands are going to check. This one, I think we can go either way. I'm going to raise it up this time. Similar situation here. This one's going to check, though. This board is just so good for the big blind. I don't want to get raised here, which I expect this guy should be check raising the flop a decent amount. This is not a great combo to continue. It's not a great combo to bluff. If I had Jack 9 of like clubs and he checked the turn, I'd start firing for sure, blocking. Actually, is that relevant when we check back the flop? Probably not entirely. Point being, our hand doesn't improve very well, so fold it is. I think we just are still kind of in the middle here on the right. Too strong to bluff, not strong enough to value bet, obviously. I think probably a little bit too strong to give up quite yet, but I don't like the size. And now we are going to fold the river. Bet with the king jack suited. And we are going to sit out our next big blind here. Over pairs are pretty much the nuts on this board. I don't expect, I mean, I can definitely have ace-5 suited and so can he. But the only other fives anybody should have is quads, so I'm going to bet 1/3. Obviously, really good card for me. In these positions, he's going to defend a bunch of ace-x 2 or 3 bet, and then we can pretty easily fold against this. All right, and that's a wrap. Again, thanks for tuning in. The plan in the future is to stream a bunch of these, so maybe I'll catch some of them live, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.